Hi, I'm Shelley and this is my vlog, The Willow Tree Green. So I have finished making the two dresses out of the same fabric. So this is the fabric in question. It was I think it's some sort of cotton. I'm not entirely certain. It is, bear with me a second. It's very noisy. My machine also didn't much like it. I don't know. I'm wearing it, so to be honest, you can probably hear. Do you hear? It's very noisy. When I made my first dress and I showed my husband, he was like, that is very noisy. So it kind of feels like a cotton. That's the back, that's the front. It feels really good quality. I don't know what the composition is, but it feels, in a way, it feels kind of like silky. So I don't know. I don't know what the fabric composition is, but anyway, when we went to Brighton, which is in the south of England, for a day trip recently. We went into one of the fabric shops that I found there, and they had 4 remnants of this sitting on a table. And when I got home, it worked out to be about 3.5 meters. If you were to take it widthways, actually, it was more than that because it was about 1.5 meters wide, but it is a directional print. As you can see, the roses have definitely got a direction. So it was 1.5 wide by 1 tall, and I had a smaller piece that was probably 1/2 meter by 1.5 meters. So don't ask me to do maths. If I can remember, I'll put up that total. So that's 3 times 1.5, 4 times 1.5, plus times 3.5, something like that anyway. So that was all the fabric I had, and it was directional. And at first I was thinking of making the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra dress, which I've made a few times now. But actually, because I've made it a few times, I decided to do something different. So I've made a different one, and I'll change to that dress in a second and talk to you about it. But first of all, let's talk about the one I'm wearing. I don't have a picture for this one, unfortunately, because it's a PDF, but I'll put a picture up there. It's the Rosery Apparel Willow wrap dress. She celebrated her 32nd birthday, I think, recently, Janelle from Rosery Apparel, and she does a discount based on her age. So I managed to get the PDF pattern with 32% off, which was nice. I have made up one of her other patterns. I think it's the pansy a couple of times before as well, but I fancied the wrap dress. So one thing I will say is it's not that size inclusive. I'm on the absolute upper end. So I made a straight size 24, which is the maximum size that she has in this pattern. And while I was making it, I was quite concerned that I was going to get coverage over my hips. So while originally I was like, I'm going to make it to the pattern, I'm going to trust the process, I make a straight size 24. And as I was making it, I was getting more and more concerned. So actually, I've only done a single turn here instead of the double turn that she recommends. And it's 3/8 of an inch, or I think something like that. But I did 3/8 of an inch seam allowance throughout as well. So, and I have got pretty good coverage. I'm sat here on my chair and I'm not exposing myself. The top is definitely crossing over really nicely. I don't feel at all exposed. I have got my ties quite tight, but even sitting down, I don't feel exposed. So it's definitely a good coverage. It's not the biggest wrap, I would say, but it's pretty good. So a couple of things about the pattern. I think I made a few mistakes. There's a lot of shaping in this dress, which means that there are a lot of darts. So you've got a dart in each front side here, and then a dart at the so the bust is fully shaped. So you've got 2 darts here and 2 darts here, and then you've got matching darts on the 2 front skirt pattern pieces, and you've got 2 darts at the top in the back and 2 darts in the back skirt piece. Now, not a single one of my darts match up, so I don't know what I did. I have a feeling, I'm looking over because that's the skirt pattern piece. You have 1 skirt piece. Let's just get it. And to save paper, which is great, you can fold here, as you can see. So fold there for the front skirt piece, and then you do the whole thing for the back skirt piece, or the other way around. That's the front and then the back. Now, I don't know what I did wrong, whether I reversed the pieces when I cut it out, because obviously I didn't leave, I should have traced the pattern piece, so I had 2 pattern pieces. But yeah, not a single one of my darts line up. Luckily, because this is quite it's a dark background and it's a fairly busy pattern, I don't think it's that noticeable. So for instance, I'm trying to find one. There's the bust dart and there's the skirt dart, and you can see they're well out. And then on the back as well, I've got some bunching here. So and the back darts are closer, but they also don't match up. So I'm not sure what that is. But again, as I was saying, this isn't the most size inclusive pattern, and I am on the absolute upper end for my hips. In fact, I think the upper end hip was 46 and I'm more of a 48, 49 hip. So I didn't put pockets in this specifically because I was concerned about gaping, and it is quite fitted on my hips. Another thing that I changed is my waist is here, and if I were to pull this down, the waist of the skirt is much lower than the waist of my actual waist. So I've put the ties in a different place, not in the correct place. So there is a bit of, you can see there's the join for the skirt top and bottom, and my tie is a good, what's that, 2 or 3 inches above it. So there are a few things I think that I would have to do to modify this next time. I did make a mistake with my ties as well. You're supposed to have a short tie and a long tie for the left and the right. And my right tie, I think it's probably because I pulled it very tight. It's quite comfortable though. I'm not uncomfortable. But yeah, they're not matching up very well, but that's my own fault. So what else? Oh yes, so another thing, interesting fact, let me just get these 2 out for you. I was having real problems with my machine, and it was skipping stitches, buttonholes I was having a massive problem with, which you'll see on the other dress that I've made. And it wasn't until this particular, I was making this one just now, and my bobbin thread ran out, and I went to replace it, and I just thought, I have done everything. I've looked at YouTube videos, I've watched videos. So this is a Burnett B77 is my machine, and I actually looked at videos on it, learned something new about it, but I've cleaned it, I changed the top thread, I changed the bottom thread, I tried a different thread. Then I realized, and I don't know if you can see this, it will focus on my face, so that, I don't know if you can see that bobbin there, and then compare it to that bobbin there. Do you see the difference in the thickness? And I think possibly also they're the same diameter, but this one has definitely got thicker plastic. So I've changed to this bobbin and all of my problems went away. Simplest little thing. I can really feel the difference in the quality of the 2 different bobbins. I suspect this one I got from a job lot, massive bunch of Amazon colours, and this one I think came with the machine. So the difference in the bobbin, again I'll show you there, I don't know if it'll focus, is what made all the difference. So lesson learned. Put that away in a minute. Okay, so a couple of other things about this pattern. Now I do love it. I'm absolutely going to make another one. Just checking I've got my mic on, because I have recorded things previously without putting my mic on. The sleeve pattern is symmetrical, which is unusual. Normally the back of a sleeve has got more space in it than the front. This one it doesn't have that. Again, I'm going to reach over here to get the sleeve pattern, because I couldn't, I had a limited amount of fabric. So here's the sleeve pattern, and you can fold it in half and they are the same on both sides. So it is marked front and back, but I do feel it is a little bit tight in my arms. I think I would prefer to have a little bit more space, but I was also thinking that if I had more fabric, I probably would have made it more of a balloon or more of a puffy sleeve, so given myself more space and possibly added some elastic. When I make the long sleeve version, which I'm actually absolutely planning on doing, I will definitely do that. So yeah, so like I said, I've got it tied quite tightly. Here's a video of me wearing it. The length, I've left it as the length of the pattern, which I think on Janelle possibly comes to, it's a bit higher than her. So I'm 4'10". I'm not sure what height she is. I think she might have said she's something like 5'2" or 5'4", but I'm not sure. But it's a good length on me. It's sort of mid calf. I'm quite happy with the length as it is. So I didn't alter the length. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. It was quite a simple sew, actually. The only difficult part, I think, was this bit, but that I chose to hem the whole thing. So I actually started at the bottom, worked my way around the whole of the bottom hem, then worked my way up and around the neckline, and then back down the other side. And like I said, I just did a single fold on that. And I also did a single fold on the sleeve, which is funny because when I washed this, I had a white thread in my overlocker, and then now I've swapped it to black. But anyway, so that's my overview of this dress. I'm going to go and change into my other dress and then talk to you about that one. Back in a minute. I'm back in dress number 2, which is technically dress number 1 because it's the one I made first. It's a shirt dress. I made a sleeveless view. I think I probably had enough fabric that I could have made the sleeve view, but actually I quite like the sleeveless view. This is the new Look N6651 shirt dress. I was going to make the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra, but sometimes all that gathering is a bit much. And this fabric, as I mentioned, it's very drapey, but it's very noisy. And I just really didn't fancy having a big gathered skirt. So this pattern has got sort of a semicircle skirt, I guess. It's a lot like the one that's over there that I still haven't finished. Forget Megan Nielsen. I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it up here when I remember. So in terms of the skirt pieces, so there's much less gathered. It's fully buttoned all the way through. Interestingly, it's got 2 buttons, and it's got an elastic channel through the middle there, and it's very comfortable. Again, I was a bit concerned about sizing. At some point in the past, I had thought about making this, and so I had cut a size 14. Since then, I have put on some weight, so I was very concerned that a size 14 was not going to fit me. I am pleased to say that the size 14, and it is a straight size 14, does fit. However, I do regret putting the pockets in. So can't show you in here, but hopefully in the video that you can see that I'll put up in a minute. Let me just move you down. There you go. So this is the pocket. They're really nice pocket constructions because it gets sewn into the waistband, which means that it's not flopping around in there. But because of my hips, I feel that they gape. Although the more I wear it, the less that seems to happen. I do have the same issue with a bit of bunching over my bum. And I also did not have matching buttons, so I've got completely mismatched buttons. So yeah, anyway, that's the pocket. I would say the one thing that I never ever avoid or don't do is the understitching. I don't know if you can see that there. The understitching of the pocket. That was gaping actually. So yeah, so that's where the pocket should be, but that's where it's sitting forward. I guess it's not that noticeable and it doesn't stick out at the side. Let me move you back up again. Ooh. So it's a couple of things that I've done differently, I guess, or I would do differently if I made it again. I didn't put a button, oops, sorry for knocking the mic. I didn't put a button up here because well, it sits closed anyway, but I wouldn't do it up anyway. I quite like it. You do have the option of having the collar like this or a proper collar, and I do prefer this one. It is quite wide, I guess. I think it's for because I'm so petite, everything looks oversized on me. The armholes though are perfect. You know, there's no, I feel quite concealed no bra strap showing there. It's very comfortable. I was really pleased. While I'm sitting down, the pockets are absolutely gaping out though. There's no pulling across the front, which I was worried about, so I'm not gaping at the front here. It is quite snug across my chest. There's no shaping in this one, so there's no darts whatsoever in this at all. So there's the line drawing. Get my face out the way. So there's absolutely no shaping in this one, but yeah, it was a pretty, again, quick sew. It does have a lot of buttons, as I said, and I was having an absolute nightmare, which I wish I had figured out the bobbin thing before. So yeah, so that's New Look N6651, and I made size 14, which has got a bust of 36, waist of 28, and a hip of 38. There is, I think, something like, it does tell you somewhere, there's 5 or 6 inches of ease in this, which is why I think I felt that I could go up or down rather. So technically, if you look at the sizing, my waist, my hip should absolutely be a 22 in this, if not bigger, because they're 46 inches is size 22, but I've made a size 14, which has only got a 38 hip. So I think, like I said, there's a big chunk of ease. This is fitted to me now, whereas I think if I had made the size 22, I'd have been swamped in fabric, and I also wouldn't have got it out of the fabric that I had. So it doesn't say it on the back, but I'm sure I read it somewhere about the amount of ease in this. So anyway, I really like this. Again, I would definitely make it again. I would omit the pockets though, simply because of the gaping thing that's going on with them. Possibly shorten the waist again. I do feel it's too low to where my actual waist is. I will probably buy buttons that match so that I've got enough buttons. And well, that's about it really. I was very happy. The other good thing is that I've got 2 dresses now. I'm looking over here again, that match my cardigan, which is, these were the 2 fabrics that I found together. Bear with me. And I knew that they were meant to be together. So I now have 2 dresses. In fact, I think in the video for this one I put this on. 2 dresses that go with this nice jumper type fabric that I also got at the same time. So yeah, very, very happy. I'm looking at this one and I'm wondering if it's inside out. Wouldn't that be funny? Oh, it's definitely not inside out. It's just the inside and the outside, because this, I don't know, do you call that yarn? I don't know how, there's a word for it, but the color goes all the way through, so it's kind of difficult. You can see the difference there between the front and the back, so I don't know why I would think, but even the flowers, the color of the flowers goes all the way through from front to back. So I do have a moment of panic. You can actually still see my marks here where I was putting the buttons in. But yes, that was an absolute nightmare. So anyway, that's 2 dresses, 1 fabric, and a review of the Rosery Apparel Willow wrap dress, which I do recommend. I do like it. And the New Look N6651. Again, recommend it. Do like it. So I hope you found that interesting. I don't know what I'm going to be doing next week. I've still got a couple of fabrics left from plans that I had previously. I may be making up, I keep threatening to make another NYX dress, so that might be what I finally get around to doing. But otherwise, if you enjoyed this content, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week. Bye.